I don't want your kind sitting here, the white executive hisses loudly. The first-class cabin falls silent as all eyes turn to them. Millionaire tech investor Victor Blackwell visibly recoils when Dr. Terrence Harrison, a black man in casual travel clothes, takes the seat beside him in first class. Victor's lip curls with disdain as he shifts away, creating unnecessary distance between them. "Excuse me," Victor calls out to the flight attendant, his voice deliberately projected. "I paid for comfort, not to sit next to someone who probably got upgraded with points." The flight attendant flushes with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, sir," she says, addressing Dr. Harrison, who merely nods, accepting the insult with dignified silence. His eyes flick to his watch, a timepiece worth more than Victor's entire designer suit. Little does Victor know, the man he just insulted controls the future of his career. Victor Blackwell strides through the first-class lounge like he owns it, designer briefcase swinging carelessly at his side. His voice carries across the space as he barks into his phone. "Tell the board I'll personally oversee the advanced neural systems acquisition. $100 million is pocket change for what we're getting." He pauses by the premium bar. "It's a black-owned tech firm with promising AI algorithms. We'll strip the valuable assets and restructure." In the quiet corner of the same lounge, Dr. Terrence Harrison sits comfortably in worn jeans and a simple button-up shirt. Having just visited family, he's dressed for comfort rather than status. His focus remains on research papers displayed on his tablet, occasionally making notes with practiced precision. "Flight 1402 to San Francisco now boarding first class and priority passengers," announces the attendant. Victor cuts his call short. "Got aboard. Have the contracts ready when I land. This acquisition needs to close today." He shoulders past other passengers, flashing his boarding pass with performative importance. Terrence takes his time, gathering his minimal belongings. He nods respectfully to the gate agents, who respond with subtle recognition. "Good to see you again, sir," one whispers with genuine warmth. Settling into his premium seat, Victor immediately begins texting demands to his team. "Meeting setup needs to be perfect. These ANS people need to understand who's in charge now." When Terrence approaches his assigned seat next to Victor, the investor's reaction is immediate. His eyes narrow, jaw tightens, and he clutches his expensive briefcase closer to his chest, as though protecting it from theft. Terrence notices the reaction but shows no response. He calmly stores his carry-on and slides into the seat with practiced ease. Victor shifts dramatically toward the window, creating an obvious barrier between them. "Excuse me," Terrence says softly as his elbow briefly enters Victor's perceived territory. Victor doesn't acknowledge the courtesy, just pulls further away, scrolling through his phone with exaggerated focus. As Terrence opens his tablet, Victor glimpses a confidential industry report, the exact one his team prepared for today's meeting. "Where did you get that?" Victor demands, pointing accusingly at Terrence's tablet screen. "That's proprietary information. Our team prepared that report." Terrence calmly closes his tablet without explanation, his expression revealing nothing. The gesture only inflames Victor's suspicion. "I asked you a question," Victor presses, voice rising. "That report is for the advanced neural systems acquisition. It's confidential." Several passengers glance over. Terrence remains composed, hands folded in his lap. "I believe you're mistaken, sir." Victor's nostrils flare as he flags down a passing flight attendant. "Excuse me," he snaps. "I need to verify this gentleman's ticket. I don't think he belongs in first class." The flight attendant's professional smile falters. "Sir, Just check," Victor insists. "There must be some mistake." "It's fine," Terrence offers quietly. "I understand." The attendant turns to Terrence, embarrassment coloring her cheeks. "I apologize, Dr. Harrison. We know you're a frequent flyer with us." Victor's eyebrows lift. "Doctor, of what exactly?" "Look, these diversity upgrade programs are getting out of hand." "I earned my seat here," Terrence states firmly. "Same as you." "Then you won't mind showing me your boarding pass," Victor challenges, hand extended expectantly. Without argument, Terrence produces his pass. Victor scrutinizes it, finding no discrepancy to exploit. "Well," Victor says, returning it with visible disappointment, "seems everything's in order. First time in first class? The champagne is complimentary, you know." "I don't drink alcohol," Terrence responds evenly. Victor snorts. "Probably for the best. Not everyone can handle premium spirits." The plane begins taxiing as Terrence turns slightly away, effectively ending the conversation. Victor's phone buzzes with an incoming text. His face pales as he reads, "Major problem with ANS acquisition. CEO won't sign without meeting new investor face-to-face." Victor's fingers tighten around the phone. "Impossible," he mutters. "That wasn't part of the deal." The plane lifts into the clouds as Victor's perfect plan begins crumbling beneath him. The beverage service begins 30 minutes into the flight. Victor spreads documents across his tray table, deliberately encroaching on Terrence's space. The flight attendant arrives with drinks. "Still water for me," Terrence requests. "Scotch, neat," Victor demands without looking up. "The 18-year, not the cheap stuff." As the attendant places their drinks, Victor reaches across for a document. His elbow catches his glass, toppling it directly onto Terrence's lap. Cold water soaks through Terrence's jeans. "Oh," Victor says, voice devoid of genuine concern. "These seats are too cramped when they let everyone into first class." Terrence dabs at his soaked clothing with napkins offered by the apologetic flight attendant. "Don't worry about it," Terrence tells her, though the cold discomfort is evident. Victor's phone rings. He answers loudly, making no effort to lower his voice. "Blackwell here, what's the status?" Terrence continues cleaning himself as Victor's conversation deliberately fills the shared space. "Listen, I don't care what their CEO wants. We're taking their neural mapping algorithm and their quantum processing patents. The rest is garbage." Victor glances sideways at Terrence. "We'll strip it for parts and discard the rest." Terrence's attention lifts slightly at the mention of technology. "That sounds like sophisticated work," Terrence observes during a pause in Victor's call. "Neural mapping has fascinating applications." Victor ends his call, turning to Terrence with transparent condescension. "Look, no offense, but this is complex technology. Neural networks operate through multi-layered algorithms that simulate brain function. Probably doesn't make sense to you. Actually," Terrence begins, "the distinction between supervised and unsupervised learning in those networks—" "Like I said," Victor interrupts, "it's complicated tech stuff. I'm sure whatever you do is nice, too." He dismisses Terrence with a wave. "Maybe sports or music or whatever." A passenger across the aisle catches Terrence's eye, offering silent support. Terrence subtly shakes his head. He's handling this. Victor's phone buzzes again. "What now?" He snaps into the receiver. His face tightens. "What do you mean the investor needs to be there? I am the investor." He listens, growing visibly agitated. "Delay the meeting if you have to. I'll be there in 2 hours. He hangs up, muttering about impossible demands and entitled startups. Terrence observes Victor's growing stress with calm detachment. When Victor steps away to use the restroom, Terrence pulls out his phone and types a quick message. "Change of plans, I'll be evaluating Blackwell personally before any signatures." He sends the text, then pockets his phone just as Victor returns, still fuming about the delayed meeting. Behind his calm exterior, Terrence has already begun dismantling Victor's perfect acquisition. Terrence excuses himself, rising with deliberate calm. "If you'll excuse me." Victor barely acknowledges him, still absorbed in damage control on his phone. Inside the cramped airplane bathroom, Terrence's demeanor transforms. He pulls out his phone, enables the privacy screen, and dials a secure number. His posture straightens, authority emanating from him like a physical force. "Andrea, it's me." He speaks quietly but firmly. "Initiate Protocol 7 on the Blackwell acquisition." "Dr. Harrison," a woman's voice responds, "are you certain? The board expects signatures today. We've been working on this for months." I've been seated next to Victor Blackwell for the past hour, Terrence explains. His character is concerning. I need to assess him personally before we move forward. Sir, this is a $100 million deal. The shareholders would want an ethical partner, Terrence interrupts. Delay the signing. Tell them I'm conducting final due diligence. What should I tell the team? They're all assembled. Terrence's reflection in the mirror shows resolve hardening in his eyes. Tell them advanced neural systems will only partner with those who share our values. I founded this company to create ethical AI, not to sell our soul. Meanwhile, Victor seizes the opportunity of Terrence's absence. He casually glances around, then reaches toward Terrence's seat pocket. His manicured fingers extract a leather-bound notebook, flipping through pages filled with complex equations and diagrams. Finding nothing immediately useful, Victor checks Terrence's carry-on bag. Inside, he discovers a business card tucked into a book on quantum computing. Dr. Terrence Harrison, Ph.D., with the ANS logo prominently displayed in the corner. Harrison, Victor mutters, not making the connection. He quickly returns everything to its original position as he hears footsteps approaching. Terrence returns, immediately noticing the slight disarray of his belongings. His expression remains neutral, but his eyes register the invasion of privacy. He says nothing, simply reclaiming his seat with dignity. Victor's phone chimes with another message. His face contorts with increasing anxiety as he reads, CEO of ANS suddenly reluctant to sign. Says he needs to assess character of all investors personally. Meeting delayed indefinitely. Victor curses under his breath. He turns to a white passenger across the aisle. This is what happens when these startups get too big for their britches, he complains loudly enough for Terrence to hear. Some people don't know their place in the pecking order. Terrence absorbs the comment without reaction, but internally makes his decision. His company, his life's work, will never fall into this man's hands. He makes a silent vow to protect what he's built from people like Victor Blackwell. The flight attendant approaches with a respectful smile. Dr. Harrison, the captain thanks you for your generous STEM scholarship donation. Victor's head snaps toward Terrence at the flight attendant's words. His eyes narrow with sudden suspicion. The captain is most grateful, the attendant continues. Your foundation's contribution has already funded 15 minority students in aviation engineering. It's the least I could do, Terrence responds modestly. As the attendant leaves, Victor scrutinizes Terrence with newfound intensity. He pulls out his phone, attempting to search Dr. Harrison, but the airplane mode limits his results. The meal service begins. Victor watches as Terrence is served first. The vegetarian option you requested, Dr. Harrison, the attendant says, placing the premium meal before him. I didn't realize they served soul food in first class, Victor remarks with a smirk. Terrence ignores the comment, thanking the attendant politely. Victor's phone buzzes with another message. His face tightens as he reads, ANS CEO insists on meeting all investors personally before signing. Non-negotiable. Unbelievable, Victor growls. These tech startups with their unreasonable demands. You give them a little success and suddenly they think they run the show. Terrence sips his water. You're acquiring a company? Victor, desperate for someone to vent to, nods vigorously. Advanced neural systems, brilliant technology, questionable management. We're buying them out today, or we were supposed to. What drew you to their technology? Terrence asks innocently. Their neural mapping algorithms are revolutionary, Victor explains, animated by his own expertise. We'll incorporate those into our existing platforms. The rest of the company needs restructuring. Meaning, Terrence prompts. New leadership, obviously. Clean house of the current team. They built something valuable but lack the vision to maximize its potential. Victor leans closer, apparently believing he's found a sympathetic ear. Between us, these diversity hire companies need proper guidance to reach their full market value. And the current employees? Victor shrugs dismissively. Collateral damage in any acquisition. Business isn't charity. What about the ethical implications? Terrence questions calmly. Their AI research has significant societal impact. Victor waves his hand. Ethics are luxury concerns for those who can afford them. In business, profit is the only reliable metric of success. Terrence nods thoughtfully, revealing nothing of his thoughts. Victor's phone lights up with an email notification. Background check on ANS leadership complete. CEO profile attached. The plane encounters unexpected turbulence, jostling the passengers. Victor's scotch splashes across his crisp white shirt and designer tie, leaving amber stains on the expensive fabric. Damn it, Victor curses, ineffectively dabbing at the spreading liquid. Terrence reaches into his pocket, producing an immaculate handkerchief. Here, he offers simply. Victor stares at the extended hand for a moment, pride warring with practicality. Finally, he snatches the cloth with a grudging nod that barely passes for gratitude. As he dabs at his ruined shirt, his phone rings again. What now? He snaps, answering without checking the caller ID. I told you to handle it. Terrence watches silently as Victor's face reddens with growing frustration. I don't care what their CEO wants, Victor hisses into the phone. Once this deal closes, the first thing we're doing is gutting their management structure. Get me that signature and stop bothering me with excuses. He pauses, listening to the response. Obviously, we're keeping their algorithms and patents. Everything else is expendable, especially their staff. Their diversity hiring practices have created inefficiencies we'll eliminate immediately. Victor ends the call, notices Terrence watching him, and offers an explanation he hasn't asked for. Sometimes you have to be firm in this business. People need to know their place. You seem very confident in your approach, Terrence observes neutrally. Built my career putting people in their place, Victor boasts, relaxing slightly. These tech companies run by idealists need a dose of reality. Advanced neural systems only got this far because of diversity grants and government incentives, not actual innovation. Terrence's eyebrow rises slightly. Their quantum neural mapping breakthrough wasn't innovative? Victor falters momentarily. Look, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Their technology has potential, but their implementation strategy lacks market awareness. How would you improve their quantum processing efficiency? Terrence asks, the question precise and technical. Victor's confidence wavers. That's getting into the weeds. My team handles those details. I see, Terrence says, making a brief note on his phone. What are you writing? Victor demands, suddenly defensive. Just a reminder, Terrence responds vaguely, turning his attention to the window. Victor studies him with renewed suspicion, unsure what to make of this quietly confident stranger. Terrence's phone buzzes. Alternate investors standing by, say the word, and we walk away from Blackwell. Victor's phone rings with an urgency that seems to vibrate through the cabin. His face grows increasingly pale as he listens to the voice on the other end. What do you mean background checks? Victor whispers harshly. That wasn't part of our agreement. Terrence pretends to focus on his tablet, but his attention remains on Victor's unraveling composure. The CEO wants what? Victor's voice rises before he catches himself, lowering to a harsh whisper. That's completely unreasonable. My investment history is irrelevant to this acquisition. The color drains further from Victor's face as he listens. Previous discrimination complaints have nothing to do with this deal, he hisses. Those were settled privately. Ending the call, Victor stares blankly ahead, his carefully constructed facade cracking. He takes a deep breath, then turns to Terrence with a dramatically transformed demeanor, all artificial warmth and forced camaraderie. Sorry about earlier, Victor offers with transparent insincerity. It's been a stressful day. I don't think I properly introduced myself. He extends his hand. Victor Blackwell, Blackwell Investments. Terrence accepts the handshake with measured politeness. Terrence Harrison. Dr. Harrison, right? I couldn't help overhearing. Victor's smile doesn't reach his eyes. What field are you in? Research and development, Terrence answers, deliberately vague. Fascinating, Victor responds with exaggerated interest. We're always looking for bright minds at my firm. Here's my card. You never know when the right connection might prove valuable. Terrence accepts the card with a nod, tucking it away without offering his own in return. So, Dr. Harrison, Victor probes, which university are you affiliated with? I'm in the private sector now, Terrence responds, revealing little. Must be doing well for yourself, Victor observes, glancing at Terrence's simple but quality watch. It's good to see people working their way up. What about your family, Mr. Blackwell? Terrence asks, shifting the conversation. Do they support your work? Victor dismisses the personal question with a wave. I don't mix family with business. Success requires singular focus. Interesting perspective, Terrence notes quietly. The pilot's voice interrupts over the intercom. We're beginning our final descent into San Francisco. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. Victor's phone chimes with an urgent message. ANS CEO arrived early. Insists on meeting you first before others. The plane touches down with a gentle thud on San Francisco International's runway. Victor unbuckles his seatbelt before the aircraft fully stops, poised to sprint from his seat. The moment the seatbelt sign dims, he leaps up, retrieving his briefcase from the overhead compartment. Excuse me, he mutters to Terrence without making eye contact, already dialing his phone. Send the car immediately, Victor commands into his phone. I need to get to ANS headquarters now. The CEO is already there. He pauses, listening. I don't care about traffic. Find a solution. Terrence remains seated, calmly gathering his belongings as other passengers rush past. He nods respectfully to the flight attendants who now approach him with noticeable deference. Always a pleasure having you aboard, Dr. Harrison, the lead attendant says warmly. Thank you, Janet. Please send my regards to Captain Reynolds, Terrence responds, his tone genuinely appreciative. Victor, lingering at the exit to finish his call, notices the exchange with growing confusion. In the terminal, Victor strides purposefully toward the exit, checking his watch repeatedly. His assistant's voice crackles through his phone. Traffic accident on the bridge. Your car is delayed at least 40 minutes. Unacceptable, Victor snaps, ending the call in frustration. Ahead, he spots Terrence walking toward a private airport exit where a professional driver stands waiting. The driver holds an electronic tablet displaying Dr. Harrison, CEO. Victor freezes mid-stride. His eyes dart between the sign and Terrence's retreating figure. Realization dawns with horrifying clarity. Wait! Victor calls out, suddenly breaking into an undignified sprint. Dr. Harrison! Terrence! Terrence turns, his expression neutral as Victor approaches, breathless and disheveled. You're Dr. Harrison, Victor states, voice hollow with shock. The Dr. Harrison from Advanced Neural Systems? The same one you've been sitting next to for 3 hours, Terrence confirms evenly. Victor's mouth opens and closes without producing sound. His mind races through every degrading comment, every microaggression, every revealed predatory business plan he's shared during the flight. There's been a terrible misunderstanding, Victor stammers, sweat beading on his forehead. My behavior on the plane I wasn't myself today. Terrence studies him with calm intensity. I believe you were exactly yourself today, Mr. Blackwell. That's what concerns me. Please, Victor's voice cracks with desperation. This acquisition means everything to my firm. I can explain. I believe we have a meeting scheduled, Terrence states, neither accepting nor rejecting the plea. My team is waiting. Of course, yes, absolutely, Victor babbles, relief flooding his features. You can ride with me, Terrence offers, gesturing to his waiting car. We can discuss whether this partnership remains viable. Inside the luxury vehicle, Victor frantically attempts damage control. About what I said regarding restructuring, you mean firing my entire team? Terrence interrupts calmly. A miscommunication, Victor insists. I was merely suggesting operational optimizations. And the diversity hire comments? Terrence continues. Or perhaps you'd like to explain how advanced neural systems only succeeded due to diversity grants, not actual innovation. Victor pales further with each quoted statement. You have to understand, in private conversations, character is revealed in private, Mr. Blackwell, Terrence states firmly. What you say when you think no one important is listening defines who you truly are. The car glides through San Francisco's streets toward the gleaming Advanced Neural Systems headquarters in the distance. I can make this right, Victor pleads. We can renegotiate terms, better terms for your company. This was never about the money, Terrence explains quietly. Advanced Neural Systems was founded with a mission to develop ethical AI that benefits humanity. I need partners who share that vision, not those looking to strip our technology and discard our people. As the car approaches ANS headquarters, Victor sees Terrence's executive team waiting outside, each holding documents stamped with competing investment offers. Advanced Neural Systems headquarters rises like a vision of the future, a sleek glass structure with curves mimicking neural pathways. As Terrence and Victor approach the entrance, 6 executives stand waiting in perfect formation. Their expressions remain professionally neutral, but their eyes follow Victor with unmistakable knowledge. Dr. Harrison, the tall woman at the center, greets Terrence warmly. The board is assembled. Thank you, Andrea, Terrence responds. This is Victor Blackwell of Blackwell Investments. Andrea's gaze cools several degrees. We're familiar with Mr. Blackwell's reputation. The group enters the building, passing through an open workspace filled with diverse researchers engaged in cutting-edge development. Multiple patents and awards line the walls, showcasing the company's innovations. Victor notices several researchers glance his way, then whisper to colleagues. Has everyone been briefed? Terrence asks Andrea quietly. Yes, sir. Protocol 7 is fully implemented. The boardroom door opens to reveal a stunning panoramic view of San Francisco Bay. Around the polished table sit 12 individuals representing ANS's leadership team. Their collective attention turns to Victor with uncomfortable intensity. Please, take a seat. Terrence gestures to a chair positioned directly opposite his own at the head of the table. Victor sits, attempting to project confidence despite his internal panic. I'm eager to finalize our agreement, he begins, forcing a smile, with a few minor adjustments that I believe will benefit us all. Terrence remains standing. Before we discuss any agreement, I believe transparency is essential. He turns to the room. During our flight, Mr. Blackwell was unaware of my identity. This provided a unique opportunity to assess his character and intentions regarding advanced neural systems. Victor's smile freezes in place as Terrence methodically recounts the events of the flight. Every discriminatory comment, every microaggression, every stated intention to dismantle the company. This is taken out of context, Victor interjects, desperation edging his voice. Private conversations shouldn't... I believe everyone should hear your exact words, Terrence interrupts calmly. He taps his watch, and Victor's voice fills the room with crystal clarity. These diversity hire companies need proper guidance to reach their full market value. Ethics are luxury concerns for those who can afford them. The first thing we're doing is gutting their management structure. Victor's face drains of color. You recorded me? That's illegal, said. The company's legal counsel, a sharp-eyed woman at Terrence's right, speaks up. California is a single-party consent state for recordings, Mr. Blackwell. Dr. Harrison was well within his legal rights. This is entrapment, Victor protests weakly. No, Terrence corrects. This is due diligence. Advanced Neural Systems was founded on principles beyond profit. We create technology that respects human dignity and promotes equality. Our diverse team isn't a publicity stunt or a government checkbox. It's our core strength. Victor notices a member of his own team shifting uncomfortably in his seat. The young man leans toward Terrence. Dr. Harrison, I had no idea about Mr. Blackwell's views. I sincerely apologize. Terrence acknowledges him with a nod before continuing. We've received multiple competing offers. He gestures to Andrea, who distributes documents around the table. 3 major tech investment groups have approached us with terms comparable to yours, but with commitments to maintain our current leadership and ethical framework. Victor flips frantically through the competing offers, panic rising as he sees the opportunity slipping away. "I can match these terms," he blurts, "and increase the purchase price by 15%. "This isn't an auction, Mr. Blackwell," Terrence states firmly. "Money has never been our primary motivation." "Please," Victor's voice cracks with desperation. "This acquisition is critical to my firm's growth strategy. I'll sign whatever you want." Terrence studies him carefully. "Your words on that plane revealed your true intentions. Why should I believe anything you say now?" "Because I'm willing to prove it," Victor responds, desperation driving him to sincerity. "Give me the chance to demonstrate my commitment." Terrence confers quietly with his executive team while Victor waits, sweat dampening his collar. After several tense minutes, Terrence returns his attention to Victor. "We're prepared to consider a revised agreement under the following non-negotiable conditions," Terrence announces. "First, you will step back as lead investor, maintaining only minority influence with no operational control. Second, your firm will implement comprehensive diversity and inclusion training for all executives. Third, you will establish a $5 million scholarship fund for underrepresented groups in technology." Victor's team members nod enthusiastically, clearly relieved at this unexpected lifeline. "That's extremely restrictive," Victor protests weakly. His own assistant leans toward him. "Take the deal, sir. It's this or nothing." Victor stares at the table, pride warring with pragmatism. Finally, he nods. "I accept your terms." Legal teams from both sides spend the next 3 hours drafting new agreements. Victor signs each page with barely concealed resentment, his usual commanding presence diminished by humiliation. As the meeting concludes, Terrence approaches Victor privately. "Mr. Blackwell, I hope today's experience proves educational. In the future, remember that character and ethics aren't luxuries. They're essentials in both business and life." Victor manages a tight nod before gathering his belongings. As he exits the building, several employees watch him leave, their expressions making clear that news of the incident has already spread. In the back of his car, Victor loosens his tie with shaking hands. His phone rings, the screen displaying Lambert Capital Partners, his largest limited partner investor. "Victor, we need to talk immediately," the stern voice begins without preamble. "We're receiving disturbing reports about your conduct during the ANS acquisition." Victor stares out the window at the ANS building receding in the distance, the enormity of the day's consequences finally dawning on him. As news of the incident spreads through Silicon Valley's tight-knit investment community, Victor's carefully constructed reputation begins crumbling like sand. 1 month later, Victor sits alone at the end of a long mahogany table. The Blackwell Investments boardroom, once his domain of unquestioned authority, now feels like a courtroom. 7 board members sit opposite him, their expressions uniformly grave. "This internal review was called to address serious allegations regarding Mr. Blackwell's professional conduct," announces Chairwoman Diana Frost, her voice crisp with formality. "We have gathered substantial evidence for consideration." A multimedia presentation begins on the wall screen. Flight passenger testimonials scroll past, witness accounts from first-class travelers who observed Victor's behavior toward Dr. Harrison. The transcript of Victor's recorded statements follows, each damning sentence highlighted in angry red. "These statements directly violate our firm's ethics policy," notes the compliance officer, a recent hire Victor had once dismissed as a diversity token. Victor straightens his tie, projecting confidence he doesn't feel. "What you're seeing lacks context. In high-stakes negotiations, certain conversational tactics—" "Discriminatory language isn't a tactic, Victor," interrupts board member Jensen. "It's a liability." Diana slides a folder across the table. "These aren't isolated incidents. Our investigation uncovered multiple similar complaints previously buried by HR at your direction." Victor stares at the thick folder, its contents documenting a pattern he can no longer deny. His throat tightens as years of unchecked behavior coalesce into career-ending evidence. We've also received testimony from Dr. Terrence Harrison, Diana continues, activating a video conference. Terrence appears on screen, composed and professional in a tailored suit that contrasts sharply with his casual flight attire. I've provided a factual account of my interaction with Mr. Blackwell, he states calmly. My purpose isn't vengeance, but accountability. The technology sector can only thrive when we confront discriminatory practices directly. Victor watches silently, unable to challenge Terrence's measured testimony. After Terrence's statement concludes, Victor's former assistant appears in person, visibly nervous but determined. Mr. Blackwell regularly expressed prejudicial views about minority-owned businesses, she testifies. He instructed our acquisition team to target them specifically, calling them undervalued due to incompetent leadership. The boardroom grows uncomfortably warm as evidence mounts. Victor loosens his collar, feeling the weight of consequences long overdue. After 4 hours of testimony, the board requests Victor's withdrawal while they deliberate. He paces the hallway, watching his career disintegrate with each passing minute. When recalled, Victor faces a unified board decision. Effective immediately, you are removed from all leadership positions at Blackwell Investments, Diana announces. The board has voted unanimously to exercise the ethics violation clause in your contract, triggering the reduced value buyout of your ownership stake. Victor's financial calculations flash through his mind. The reduced value provision will cost him over $30 million. This is my company, he protests, voice hollow with disbelief. I built it from nothing. And now you've lost it through your own actions, Diana responds without sympathy. The firm will announce a new direction emphasizing ethical investment practices and diverse leadership, effective immediately. Security escorts Victor to clear his office. Employees watch silently as he carries a single box of personal items through the hallway. No handshakes, no goodbyes. Just the weight of earned consequences. Outside the building that no longer bears his authority, Victor stares up at the company logo. His legacy now forever tarnished by his own unchecked prejudice. 6 months after Victor's downfall, a prominent tech publication announces, former Blackwell victim launches revolutionary ethical investment fund. The technology investment landscape transforms with remarkable speed following the Blackwell incident. What began as a private confrontation between two men on an airplane evolves into a catalyst for industry-wide examination of discriminatory practices in venture capital. Advanced Neural Systems thrives under its new partnership structure. With ethical investors providing capital without demanding control, Terrence's company accelerates its development of accessible AI technologies. Their stock value triples within 6 months of the restructured deal. Terrence launches the Harrison Initiative, a pioneering fund providing capital specifically for minority founders developing ethical technology solutions. We're not just changing who receives funding, Terrence explains in his foundation announcement. We're changing how funding decisions are made, focusing on long-term societal benefit rather than rapid extraction of value. Technology journalists pursue the story beyond its initial viral moment. 3 passengers from the fateful flight grant interviews about witnessing discrimination and its consequences. What struck me was Dr. Harrison's dignity throughout the ordeal, shares one witness. He let Blackwell reveal his character through his own words rather than calling him out immediately. That strategic patience was masterful. Leading tech publications feature the story as a case study in bias within venture capital. The Blackwell incident, watershed moment for tech investment, reads one headline, followed by substantive analysis of how unconscious bias undermines innovation. Competing investment firms, sensing a shift in public sentiment, implement new policies to prevent similar incidents. Diversity officers move from marginalized positions to core leadership roles. Bias training evolves from perfunctory compliance exercises to substantive programs with measurable outcomes. Blackwell Investments, now under new leadership, undergoes painful rebranding. Their most visible initiative, the Blackwell Diversity and Technology Scholarship, funds education for underrepresented students, a transparent attempt at image rehabilitation that nevertheless creates real opportunities. Industry statistics, previously showing decline in funding for minority-owned startups, reverse their trajectory. Within 1 year, investment in companies with diverse leadership increases 28% across the sector. The ripple effects spread beyond venture capital. Tech companies previously resistant to diversity initiatives begin publishing transparency reports on hiring practices. Executive compensation becomes tied to measurable progress in creating inclusive workplaces. Former allies of Victor Blackwell distance themselves, embracing new standards with conspicuous enthusiasm. Those who once laughed at his discriminatory jokes now champion inclusion, their conversion more pragmatic than principled, but creating positive change nonetheless. What happened to Victor Blackwell wasn't cancel culture, writes one influential technology ethicist. It was consequence culture. For too long, the tech industry has allowed discriminatory behavior to hide behind the myth of meritocracy. The Harrison-Blackwell incident simply revealed what many already knew, that bias doesn't just hurt individuals, it undermines innovation itself. At a major industry conference, attendees receive unexpected notification. Special keynote speaker announced Dr. Terrence Harrison on ethical investment as the future of technology. As Terrence takes the stage to thunderous applause, he notices Victor sitting quietly in the back row, watching with unreadable eyes. 1 year after the incident that transformed the technology investment landscape, Terrence stands on stage at the Global Technology Ethics Summit, accepting the Visionary Leadership Award. The crystal trophy catches light as he approaches the microphone, the audience rising in standing ovation. "Thank you," he begins simply, waiting for the applause to settle. This recognition honors not just one person, but a movement toward more ethical technology development. The grand ballroom holds the industry's most influential figures. Cameras broadcast his words to viewers worldwide. Terrence speaks with the measured calm that has become his signature. "A year ago, I experienced something many people of color face daily, being judged not by my capabilities or character, but by superficial characteristics. The difference wasn't in the experience itself, but in having the position to create consequences." Terrence never mentions Victor by name, instead addressing the broader implications. When we allow bias to influence investment decisions, we don't just harm individuals, we deprive society of innovations that could transform lives. Ethical investment isn't charity. It's strategic vision that recognizes talent and potential exist in every community. The statistics displayed behind him tell a compelling story. ANS has grown 300% since restructuring, now valued at $1.2 billion. Their ethical AI systems power healthcare initiatives, saving thousands of lives in underserved communities. True innovation requires diverse perspectives. When we limit who participates in creating technology, we limit what technology can achieve. In a small apartment across town, Victor Blackwell watches the live stream on his laptop. His surroundings reflect his diminished circumstances, from penthouse to modest rental, from industry leader to minor consultant for a small firm willing to overlook his tarnished reputation. As he listens to Terrence's measured words, something shifts in Victor's expression. Not resentment, but reflection. He opens a document on his screen titled Personal Accountability Plan, a work in progress that suggests genuine, if belated, self-examination. The camera returns to Terrence announcing the Harrison Foundation's newest initiative, a $50 million commitment to support underrepresented groups in technology education. "We cannot change the past," Terrence concludes, "but we can create systems that ensure a more equitable future. Technology should elevate humanity, all of humanity, not just those who have traditionally held power." 2 days later, Terrence sits in a coffee shop near ANS headquarters. Across from him sits Janet, the flight attendant from that fateful flight. She shows him her acceptance letter to the coding boot camp his foundation sponsors. "I never thought this was possible for someone like me," she admits. "Working in service all my life, I didn't see a path into tech. The best innovators understand human needs firsthand," Terrence responds. "Your experience gives you perspective engineers from traditional backgrounds often lack." The scene shifts to another airport terminal. Terrence boards another flight, automatically helping an elderly passenger struggling with her luggage. "Thank you, young man," she says, unaware of his identity or influence. "Such kindness from strangers makes all the difference." Terrence smiles genuinely. "We all need help sometimes." As he settles into his seat, a nervous young entrepreneur takes the adjacent spot, clutching a business plan and practicing a pitch under his breath. He doesn't recognize that beside him sits the legendary Dr. Harrison, who transformed the tech investment landscape forever. Terrence notices the young man's anxiety and offers a reassuring smile. "First pitch meeting?" As the young entrepreneur shares his vision for technology that could help his rural hometown, Terrence sees the future of ethical innovation taking root in the next generation. What did you think of Dr. Harrison's response to discrimination? Sometimes the most powerful reaction isn't immediate confrontation, but strategic patience. The right moment reveals character more effectively than any argument. At Beat Stories, we believe these real-life accounts of justice served don't just entertain, they remind us that accountability still exists in our world. Every day, people face discrimination, prejudice, and unfair treatment. But as Dr. Harrison showed, maintaining your dignity while allowing consequences to unfold naturally can be the most satisfying response. If this story resonated with you, you're part of our community of justice seekers. We're dedicated to bringing you authentic accounts of people standing up against discrimination, workplace abuse, and social injustice. Stories where karma delivers perfect conclusions. Join our Beat Stories family by hitting that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly uploads of satisfying justice stories. Each one carefully researched and presented to give you that perfect blend of outrage and resolution we all crave in these uncertain times.
Behind every headline is a human story. At Beat Stories, we go deeper, where emotion meets evidence and drama reveals the system. If this story made you pause, reflect, or feel something, don't forget to subscribe. There's more to come.